back once again to You Should Get a License, the podcast edition, and very excited for the conversation that we're going to have today. Our guest is a graduate of Virginia Commonwealth University and holds a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary science. Notice that does not risk management. And after graduating, she actually started with the local insurance agency and just with her work ethic and insatiable curiosity, starting in customer service, she worked her way up and rose to a premier commercial specialist within a 5-year time frame. So in 5 years, she's become quite successful. And last year in 2020, she actually decided to launch her own firm, New Oak Insurance Company, and starting it in 2020 in the middle of a pandemic has still been very, very impactful and making tons of contributions throughout the greater Richmond, Central Virginia community as an entrepreneur, and also educating and working with other entrepreneurs as well to educate them about insurance and about their business. And at the end of this, she would certainly share her information. I'm sure she'll be open to meeting with you at a local coffee house in the area if you are in Richmond, Virginia as well. So I want to bring onto the You Should Get a License podcast our guest, the founder and principal of New Oak Insurance, Miss Katie Atkinson. Katie, how are you doing?
Oh, doing well. So thank you so much for inviting me, Rod. I am so excited to be here. So you make me sound way more successful than it feels like right now. But all the grind,
right? you are successful, and look, just launching, your career and ascending in the way that you have, and starting your firm, and you're buzzing on social media, you're buzzing on the LinkedIn's. So you're making it happen. So I appreciate you being here as well.
I'm a terrible millennial, and that was one of the things that I had to get better at, was starting to social media. Well, I tell you what, I was like, after the pandemic quarantine, kind of like reintroducing myself to the world. And the first thing every potential reference asked is like, oh, what's your Instagram? Like, what's your Instagram? They don't ask for your business card. They don't ask for your LinkedIn. It's what's your Instagram? So I'm like, I gotta get on this now. So
yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. So on the You Should Get a License, podcast, we want to share information about the industry that we work inside of, and really share some nuggets and different insights on the different sectors of this business. So I always like to just start the conversation, before we even get into your background, which is exciting, with the segment of the business that you work in. So tell me a little bit about what area of insurance you work in and what your day-to-day process, looks like.
Sure, absolutely. Insurance can mean so many different things too. Usually when I'm meeting new people and I say that I'm in insurance, everyone goes, oh, can you do health insurance? Nope, I don't do that at all. Don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But what I do is specialize in personal lines. So your auto insurance, homeowners, personal catastrophe, just another way of saying your umbrella, and boat insurance as well. Very interesting in and of themselves. And then of course, small business insurance. So if there's a business owner that runs a business on the day-to-day, like that's something I can definitely help with. And I think why I love my segment of insurance is it's so relationship driven, because I get to hear, like, you don't think about when you call your insurance agent, but you always call for big things, like when you buy a new house, when you get a new car, when your business is expanding and you're going to get a new rental facility. So it's exciting to share the wins with people, like be a part of those celebrations, and then and then have that risk management to say, okay, so now that you've made this step, let's look into what risks could be headed your way. And then we just have a conversation through that, because there are no two policies, no two risks alike either. Like there could be two restaurants have completely different needs. Just because it's a restaurant doesn't mean they're the same thing. So it's always interesting.
It's like it's like the commercial, for, I don't normally mention, carriers and things. If you want to, you can, but it's like the commercial where they say, they give an example of something and they'll be like, yeah, we covered that, right? So, with PNC, you have these different cases. PNC, property and casualty, is actually what that was short for. It's interesting. People ask you about, health insurance. People ask me, I'm in the life and health side, as you know, and people ask me about auto insurance and homeowners a lot of times. Can you cover my home? Like, no, not quite, but, but no, it's always great to know. And I'm glad to, have someone in the property and casualty side, because I think we've only spoken with one other person, who's coming from that background. And even they were dealing more with the agencies and getting them to offer product versus being the one who is actually communicating one-on-one.
Oh, nice. Like a manager or something. Okay.
Yeah. So it's really been like a broker services kind of bit Alan who was on.
There's so many different segments depending on what your personality is and what you enjoy. There is a space for insurance where you can.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. So here's my question. Going back, I see that you didn't major in insurance. That's not where you started out. And I know that you had that family tradition. We're going to get into that too. But here's what I want to know. Growing up, what was your dream job? What did you dream of being when you grew up?
So no joke, when I was super young, what I dreamed of being like a businesswoman and having like the blazer and being on like the top, like riser building or something like that. And then I don't know where that even came from, but then as I got older, I wanted to be a doctor. Like that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in the health field. I ended up, so when it became more my dream. In high school, I went and volunteered at a hospital. My family was like, why are you doing that? Like, don't do that. But I just found that I really wanted to help people. And I thought that was going to be my dream job, and probably actively like trying to search for something other than insurance. And then found out that like insurance was a way to help people. But through many twists and turns, that was my dream job when growing up, what I thought I would do.
Hey, look, you're still in the same lane, of helping people, adding value, protecting them against, catastrophic occurrences for their property. You're not prescribing the medicine, but you are making sure that the pain isn't as bad, if they suffer from a financial.
And my clients always know they can call me like before, right when an accident happens or something, like I can still be that calming voice and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Like, let's move forward with it. So it still works out. I just get to enjoy the celebrations much more, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. And I know they're appreciative as well. So tell me about what you were doing right before you got licensed. Now, because you kind of came up, with some legacy things happening. But what were you doing right before you said, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and go into this"?
Yeah. So right before, it was in college. I was a certified nursing assistant, or a CNA is another way to put it. So I was, just what you think of as a nursing assistant. So I didn't give medications, but I was there on. I ended up being, this was one thing I did not do when I took the job, like being the people that the patients see almost most often, because I only had a handful of patients at VCU Health, and I would help them. Okay, what do you want for your bath today? Let's take your temperature. Let's change your sheets. A lot of times was the communication impasse if a family member was coming in and their loved one was off and away, on a test or something. So it was very much so a face-to-face job that I absolutely loved and have fantastic stories from that. But I think that's where I found that people just want to be heard, and people want to, if you listen to people, it's amazing what experiences people have, what they'll share, and being able to build that trust really quickly too.
Yeah. So I'm listening here. You started with, okay, so take me here, because I want to speak to this, right? I want to speak to, if there's anyone who is in nursing or CNA, and maybe you're looking for, change, maybe you don't want to be on your feet all day, but you're still running around a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah.
Insurance is still viable. Take me from the interdisciplinary science. One, why was that your major, right? I want to know what was the motivation behind that, and how that transitioned to the nursing. This is not insurance, so interdisciplinary science to the nursing. Talk to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I very much so thought that I was going to end up, like helping people. So I was in a nursing program and then decided I wanted to go pre-med. So when I didn't finish the nurse, which I should, if I still wanted to go that route, I should have just got my nursing degree. But I decided to switch over. And because of all of the nursing credits that I had, it ended up being more of an interdisciplinary science, because I ended up taking a lot of physics, a lot of math, a lot of, when I find something that I'm interested in, I just dive into it. So I had a lot of interest during that time.
So here's the thing. If you are in Katie's office, not only can she write you some coverage and make sure that your property is protected, but if you need some assistance, if you're choking, or you pass out, anything, she's gonna make sure that you're taken care of as well. So you're certainly in good hands with her, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Either way it goes. So how'd you end up going from the nurse, and take me on the journey? How'd you end up going into I guess we're going to have to go into the family business now. So how'd you end up making that transition?
So I was thinking about going on a graduate program. So at that point I was like, okay, if I'm going to do a graduate program, I need to get like a job as well. And so got a job at the local, so it was a family independent insurance agency. So I was like, okay, I'm pretty familiar with it just because of my family. My dad has been an insurance agent for 30 years, still is. So 35 years, maybe. It's been a while, whatever it is. So it was also because I was getting married. And so I needed to get a job to bring in money. So let's be real. I wanted to get married, wanted to bring in money, and was like, okay, let's just find something with an interdisciplinary science degree. It basically means that I'm really, really good at researching and understanding. I can research and get information very quickly, but that's hard to say in a job. It's not a biology degree, it's not an accounting degree. So jack of all trades, master of none. Turns out it worked really well with insurance, because I started out as a customer service agent. That's just more, personality of just being able to talk with people, help take payments, make small changes. But at that point I wasn't licensed, so I couldn't write a policy or anything like that. But being me, I just soaked up information. So when people started asking, is this covered? Is this covered? I would, ask somebody, so ask an underwriter, but then I go to the next step and I actually read contract language. I am a big nerd. So I will go to that little asterisk where it says C form VA, I went through and literally started highlighting and trying to figure out okay, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? I finally got rid of all my binders because that was so much paper, but that's just how I learned and started to really enjoy, okay, this is something that I can get really interested in, because insurance is always changing. It's not, and that's one thing from having my family background too. They've seen the insurance industry change. And then really in the last 5 to 10 years, it's been fascinating to watch, especially with whatever the hot insurance topic is, technology or data breach or identity recovery was a huge one. But then getting to figure out, since I'm a P&C agent working, with people on a daily basis, how does that actually affect somebody? So that was a bit of I think that's kind of answering what you get for, and then I get really excited talking about coverage. So pardon me, I'm just a big nerd at heart. So.
I love it. No, I think that, you have to, learn and really enjoy paying attention to the details, in this business. I read an article, and I actually did a video about this too, about 5 famous people you didn't know had a license. One of them was Tom Clancy. You know Tom Clancy?
Yeah, let's say my grandfather loved his Tom Clancy novels.
He was an insurance agent.
I did not know that. Okay.
As a matter of fact, The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
He was inspired to write that by clients he had who were in the Navy, who were like Navy submarine officers. Isn't that something?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Never know the people that you meet.
Yeah, so if you have that spark, and you can pull that inspiration pretty much from anywhere. And he said that one of the things that made him successful, because apparently he was really good, one of the things that made him successful was that attention to detail that you just mentioned.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I think that insurance in and of itself is like, most people start out in sales, right? So you kind of start with like a either service or sales mentality, but in either case, you don't really have to I think it's still a lot of drive toward like, you gotta sell policies, but I think consumers are becoming so much more knowledgeable now that it's forcing those like old school agents that could just like sell a policy like that to really know more. And like, I think consumers nowadays just want to be educated too. They not only want coverage, they want to know like, why do I need this? What does this actually do for me? It's not enough just to sell it anymore, which is a great consumer mentality change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now, with the social media, which we just talked about. I think we talked about that, people asking, not even necessarily for the business card, they're asking for your social media, but people are actually going online, they're researching things as well. And even for, someone who's looking to get into the industry, they can go online and kind of research some of the statistics. I think some of them are a little bit low. Like some of the income metrics are probably a little bit low, for our business that I've seen,
Well,
but,
I think, depending on like, if it's one of those sales behemoths that like has a high turnover, then it's a little versus like, I think if you decide to make it your career, and really commit to, especially 5 years, I think that's when you really see a lot of I think 2 years is the first milestone.
Yeah.
And then like 2.
It could be a milestone. It could be a milestone.
Maybe. Like milestone. Yeah. So like 2 years and then 5 years. And then like it just keeps building on that.
Absolutely. I agree. So coming from, let me see, your grandfather was also an agent, right?
Yes. So talking about how the insurance industry changes, it is if you look at my family, how insurance has changed, even from like when my grandfather was an insurance agent to my dad to myself, it is completely different. So my grandfather was a life insurance agent. So back in like the 60s, 70s. Okay. So the way that, on your life insurance, you traditionally pay like monthly, or you can even pay weekly. So he was actually he would sell a policy, like educate his clients. And then he was actually the one to go door to door, like week to week. I think it's week to week, but don't quote me. I know it's at least month to month. I think it was actually like weekly to collect all of those payments. And so he was in charge, I kind of think like a paper route, but for life insurance, which sounds like crazy to say, but it kind of is, like back in the day. So he would even tell stories about he'd have these clients for years, like somebody not being able to pay their insurance payment. And then rather than letting the cancellation, of the insurance go through, like he gave my grandfather like a teapot so that he could like pay for his insurance. So I was like, really?
Wow.
And then, so when my dad started, so my grandfather was life insurance specifically. My dad started in the 80s, I think 81. It was right when he got married too, like 80, 81 was when he went into insurance. Okay, so Allstate back in the day, has anyone ever told you this, that how they used to sell insurance for PNC? Because there weren't like 1-800 like call centers that you could go to. My dad literally had a book that he would carry around with him, knock on doors, and then, okay, so you are this old, you have this many accidents, and you have this car. This is your rate. So it was like an entire rate book that he would bring to. And he had the coveted spots of being in a Cloverleaf Mall. So Allstate had like a little booth kiosk.
Cloverleaf Mall. Wow, you're taking it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Mall. So like that's where clients could make their payments, where they could sign up on a policy. So he would, like, people would want to work on Saturdays because that's when a lot of people would buy insurance policies, and you would be their agent. So I think he worked there for like a couple of years. It was like right outside of like Sears or inside. I can't remember if it was inside the Sears or like outside the Sears. It was this like little Allstate kiosk that was apparently like huge back in the day. And then obviously it just keeps evolving now to like automatic payments and like messaging via Instagram. It's just,
yeah, no, it's crazy. It's like, you get a text message or something, So for those who are unfamiliar with what a mall is a place that people used to go to visit different stores and make purchases.
Back when you had to worry, hey, I wonder, is this in stock? Like, can I go get this?
That's right.
You have to go like 4 different places to get this, your shoe size or something,
Yeah. And you mentioned Sears. You said it might have been in Sears.
Yeah, I think it was Sears specifically.
Sears. And Sears is a store that used to have this catalog. It was a book. It was a book, and you could order things out of that book. You wouldn't go online. You had to either call, or there was like a slip in the back that you could fill out. And when I was young, we used to circle the things that we wanted for Christmas.
Yep.
Right?
I was gonna say, I know exactly what you're talking about with like, I would wait for like the Toys R Us, like little, like inserts in the paper even, which is all, I guess they don't anymore.
Yeah. That's just a little history lesson for those that know Amazon,
or for those that are
right.
For all of us that had to like wait and find something we really liked because we couldn't just Google it immediately.
That's right. That's right. But man, how things have changed. I mean, I feel like we might be a little spoiled now with our ability, particularly as people who are working in this industry. We're used to doing things electronic. We're used to many electronic application. If you need a document, you can e-sign it. We're used to all of those luxuries. And you think, back in the day, folks used to have to go around door to door and either carry that big book. I mean, you're getting a workout, or going around collecting that premium. I remember my grandmother telling me stories about the insurance guy coming to collect premium. It might have been your granddad.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
It very well be. I don't know.
Maybe. So with your history, right, joining the industry, right? Granddad is in insurance, father's in insurance. Do you think that made you more inclined to go into the industry from a career standpoint, or was it something that kind of turned you off initially?
Initially, definitely a turn off because I wanted to go do something different. I'm a very competitive person, so I didn't want to have that like direct comparison necessarily.
Right.
But then it turned out, like, especially when I got married and had to make, start bringing home the bacon, decided to give it a shot. And, I think at that point I said I was going to commit like 2 years to it. And within those 2 years, like, fell in love with it. And
here we are 5 years later.
Yep. Here we are, and have say no regrets. I do love having my own insurance agency though. That is fantastic.
Yes, it is. So do you feel like when you took the test, right, you were working as a customer service representative, so you weren't issuing the policies, you weren't licensed at that time.
Yep. Nope.
Do you feel like that experience prepared you for the test, or do you feel like did you still have to study and prepare?
Well, so I still had to study and prepare, but one of the other agents in the office actually had the best advice on how to prepare for the test.
Okay, give it to us.
Yeah, so what you do, he's like, Katie, just go to the definitions in the back, learn the definitions, what they mean, and like what, if it's in like a law, like learn the laws, like Like just learn that. As long as you learn that, you can usually kind of decipher where everything goes. And he was absolutely right. I spent hours going through the book as the studious person that I am, and then spent a couple of hours like doing the note cards and just getting more familiar with it too, not just like a dry definition, because what you're learning from this book might not be what the state, you're not gonna see it verbatim. So you just have to be able to know what it actually is, but you can figure it out from that. So that's what I always recommend for anybody that is interested in their PNC. Oh, and go to, they do have, I did take this one, it was like, I don't know if it was like a 4-hour or 8-hour course, I forget. By the big I, and so the Independent Insurance Association of Virginia. Yes. And it was and it was one of those like prep courses, to get used to it. I think unfortunately the instructor that I had has since retired, but he was freaking fantastic. He would just look at the thing, say, look at whatever definition you're talking about, and then just tell a story about it. Like there was no PowerPoint, there was no nothing. He just was like, what I've seen. It was great.
He had talked about that information enough times.
Right? But he's just like, that's what it means. I let somebody borrow my book, and I'm so peeved because I never got it back. And it had a lot of his funny stories in the margins.
Oh, wow. No, you got to get that back. You got to figure out how to get that back.
I do.
You lent it to? Do you still communicate with them?
No, too kind.
Look, I guarantee if you get that book back, you can find another one on Amazon, I'm sure, or Google's.
I'll just look on eBay. Maybe it's there for $2.
It's on eBay. I guarantee it's on eBay. If it's not on Amazon, it's going to be on eBay. It's one of the two.
Exactly.
So you took so taking the test, that was a great tip. I just want to recap that. So learning the definitions was key for you.
Yeah.
And that really helped you prepare. And then you mentioned the big I, the Independent Insurance Association of Virginia, which also has great instructional classes as well that folks can take. Now I have a PNC license as well. I don't know if we talked about that, but I have never used it. I have no carriers that I'm associated with or anything. So the question,
I did not know that actually. I knew you had your life and health. I didn't know you had your.
I have life and health, and I have PNC in Virginia.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The question is, this is on the life and health side. I found that once I took the test, the information I got from the carriers was completely different. It was like a whole new batch of information. Is it like that with property and casualty as well?
Yes, because everybody has you're basically, much like in life and health, you're learning the definitions of what it is. But then each carrier has different underwriting requirements and then what that coverage actually entails in one carrier might be different than a different carrier. So the basics are there, your comprehensive deductible and your collision deductible are the same thing. But then transportation expenses, roadside service, things like those little details, and dwelling coverage and replacement cost can change from company to company. So a little bit yes and a little bit no.
Got you.
Because it's definitely, it's just like any place. Once you get your certification, you get to then you learn the next step. So it's definitely not
right.
Once you have your certification, you still got to learn the next step. You're just able to now learn the next step, basically.
Exactly. No, this is what I'm saying. Because I'm don't come to me for PNC information. Just because I have the license doesn't mean I know anything about it. I don't. I knew enough to take the test. pass the test. That was it.
Say, I do do a little bit of term life insurance just for people that are looking to get started. So I have my life and health, but I'm very adamant that I don't do health. I don't do it. I cannot read it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry. Go elsewhere.
And you're right. Things do change. Things change from year to year. I want to talk to you about starting your agency inside of 2020. Even the journey to decide that, hey, I'm gonna start my own shop, opening that up. what was that process like? Take me through for somebody who's thinking, hey, I might want to open up an agency. Mm-hmm. And then we'll talk about what it was like to open it in 2020 as well. But what was that journey like? You know, at what point did you decide one? And then once you decided, what happened next?
Yeah. So what was the impetus was that I wanted to have my own insurance agency, right? I wasn't quite sure what that would look like or what that would entail. So I started reaching out to different carriers to provide a contract, right? Because just I can opening up New Oak Insurance LLC isn't that big of a deal, getting it, registered with the state, whatever, but I got to have a product to sell. So I think the first thing is having those conversations with local representatives that are looking to recruit agents. So you can get a good idea of like who's interested in your area. So I knew that I wanted to be an independent insurance agent. That's just what's always attracted me. There's a lot more options with that. So especially with my commercial background, I like that better. But if you're looking for PNC specifically, there are companies that can offer more support. So you can even look into like a State Farm appointment, an Allstate appointment. Say I ended up, one of my preferred carriers now is Erie Insurance. I'm very, very blessed to have them as one of my carriers. But then looking out to like in the future, looking at other carriers as well, because I still have to have the product, and each carrier also has different requirements. So if you are looking to open your own independent insurance agency, start looking into those requirements now, because it can just completely change. Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you, from the time that you decided that, hey, I'm going to start my own firm to it's up and running?
So I started looking, lucky me, in February 2020.
Okay.
That's my job. So then all of a sudden, it's now March 2020. Yes. So my appointment process took much longer because the world was in limbo. So what I would usually say would be like a 3 to 4 month process took closer to like 6 to 8, because we didn't know what the world was going to look like back in, March. We didn't know what July would look like. We didn't know what October would look like. And at some point we just had to, just go for it. So that's kind of what started the October 2020 start date instead.
Nice. And what was it like when you launched? Like, what did you feel? What was there any, hesitancy? Was there any type of fear did you have? Like, what did you feel, when you said, hey, okay, now I'm opening up?
So a little bit of fear, of course, because I hadn't, seen anybody really, or been able to network like in person. Because again, this was in March to October 2020, very much so like strict quarantine at that point, other than like going to get groceries. So I was doing as much virtual networking as I possibly could at that point. I think I was looking on different meetups. I was going to groups, like talking to anybody that I could talk to. So that was a really good experience. It was excitement, because I've been wanting to open up my agency for so long. I was just like, you know what, hell or high water, we're just going for it. So we're gonna make it happen, was kind of the attitude that I took with it. And yeah, we made it work. And probably harder than it needed to be, but it was but we did it. So
every time, we met not that long ago.
No.
And every time that, I've seen you, whether it was in virtual, because I think the first time I saw you was in a virtual networking environment.
Oh, okay.
In person. And you're always, so positive, you're always smiling. You're always just in a good mood, and I think that really speaks to, the success that you've had, even early in your agency, not early in your career, but early in your agency. What do you think has been the catalyst that's really started to propel you and just keep you, on that successful track, starting in 2020 up until now?
Well, I think that for me, a turning point or a really good thing was in April. So having those connections that I've been building virtually since October, even July 2020, I started saying,
Yes.
hey, I'm going to open an insurance agency soon, trying to get everything, like all the word out there. But then just the catalyst was kind of meeting people in person, because I had been virtually networking with these people for 6, 8 months at that point. So everybody knew of me, but there's something different that happens when you meet in person with somebody. I can't explain it. I'm not quite sure what it is that has been tremendous for my business, just to be able to get more quotes, get more referrals, like things are opening up. Everybody's also feeling more okay. Like we're all getting more hopeful at the same time as well. So I think it's really good. Like it's something that I've been already working toward, and then just being able to affirm that in everybody else, I think has been a really good thing. So just keep moving forward. And one of the big things too, so a lot of people, when I talk about insurance, we're human, like we mess up or, whatever. And I just heard even, in networking in person, like we all have that social awkwardness still. So
right.
Like, we're like, hey, do I like elbow bump you, or do I like
What are we
doing?
Like
give you a hug, And I just tell everyone, it's just the year of grace. We've all had a crazy year. We are all now trying to readjust at the exact same time. It's okay. Give yourself grace. So that's what I'm trying to share with everyone. It's the year of grace. Just have a little grace for yourself and everyone,
Yes, absolutely. So going forward, with New Oak, you've been in the business, 5 years, but New Oak is still a fairly new company. My question is, what keeps you motivated now to continue to build, to keep moving forward? What keeps you engaged? What keeps you energized?
Honestly, the big wins that I have. So I was helping somebody with their personal auto and homeowners insurance, and we were able to save them, which this doesn't happen. It happens once a month, but a good $500 a year. So yeah, I know. See, that's the eyebrow raise of
right.
Smokes. That is not chump change. So I feed off of those wins and just keep going with it. You just have to keep looking to see who that next person is that I can help save, whether it's $100 or $500, I don't know. There's something really empowering about that I really enjoy, because it's giving people the best coverage that they possibly can, sometimes even better coverage, but for a lower price. And then on a more personal note, my husband and I, we want to have a growing family. So we got to I got to hustle now. So.
That's right. Because
they
like to eat,
that's a good thing. So we're gonna.
We have my wife and I. We have 4 boys, and they get hungry, so gotta hustle. Gotta keep the hustle.
My gosh,
that's plenty of motivation. The children are plenty of motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. So do you feel like, I always like to ask, life before getting licensed, life after getting licensed? I'll say life before determining that you were going to go into the insurance industry as a career versus life after determining you were going to go into insurance as a career. Has that changed you in any way? Do you feel like that's impacted you as a person?
That is a great question. Life before getting licensed versus after getting a license. Yes. And I think especially in Richmond too, just because everybody knows everybody. So being able to I have to be very cognizant about the advice that I give, and just be very open about if I don't know something, I don't want to give bad advice that then continues to go through. I think that was one of the more things, when I was starting off earlier in my career, I just didn't have as many expectations with it. So, especially as a customer service agent, let me just get your agent. I can very much so hand it to somebody else, but now it's oh, that's me. So So I think putting in that work, especially earlier in my career, has helped me get to where I am now. I think that's what's going to continue to help, because it's just, I think every touch point that you have with somebody, you don't know who they know and who they continue to know. And especially even in the world of insurance, like it's also not as big of a world. Like usually, so I always say, so if you are also thinking about becoming an insurance agent, make sure that you are nice to your underwriter, because they all know each other.
Yes.
So that's just like a tip.
That's what life and health out too. You got to take care of the underwriting department. Make sure you're sweet to them. Yeah.
Yes. Like, well, A, be nice, because they have like 20 other agents that all need something right now, just like you do. B, if you like lie to them, everybody's going to know. So just don't do it. Be honest and like, don't lie. Like I've seen, don't do it. It's not a good thing. I've seen other people do it, and it is not pretty. And it will come back to you like that. It doesn't take long.
You know, I usually find that people who aren't integrous and, you know, they don't keep their business, you know, above board, they usually don't last that long in this business, because it's not easy to last a long time, especially, you know, in an area and in an industry where people are so connected. I mean, there's only, if you're PNC, there's only a certain amount of carriers that you're going to work with, you know, that are top rated. If you're in the life and health side, there's only a certain amount of carriers that you're going to work with, you know, that are top rated. Different companies, whether it be the direct to the carrier, or whether it be a general agent, you know, that you're working under, they all have relationships, and even more so, you know, your own personal reputation inside of your community too, right? So those things are important, and then you gotta look yourself in the mirror every day as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, and the funny thing may be like one, you know, like talking about like networking opportunities, right? Like you may not be talking to the person that's working for the company you don't necessarily want an introduction with right now, that they might change and go to a different company in like 2 or 3 years. So I think that's more like, especially if you're going to make it a career, like don't look at it just right now, look at it in the future too, because you don't know, like, I think maybe that's also a bit of a tangent toward like investing in good people too. So like, that's why I enjoy having conversations with you, because like, I know you're somebody with integrity, and why I've, you know, tried to refer business to you as well. Like want to keep that relationship going. Because it's like, I would much rather be connected with good people, and then we'll just like
just keep it like that, right? No, I agree. I agree. And in return, now you've started to give some instruction and some mentorship to, you know, other entrepreneurs who are starting to enter the business as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
I am so excited. So that's just starting up we had our first meeting this past weekend, actually. So that was an opportunity that I sought out with the Metropolitan Business League, or the MBL. Fantastic organization in Richmond, by the way. I think you're a member, right? Or are you not?
I am a member. I am a member of the MBL.
I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before, because anybody I talk to, I'm like, do you know about the MBL? It's a great league. But anyway, so they have this program that's specifically called their VET program. So that's their Veteran Entrepreneurship Training, where they have, so they are partnering with Startup Virginia to provide entrepreneurship lessons for veterans. So they're keeping it to a small cohort. So it's 5 veterans that are either starting their business, or they already have a business established and they're looking to grow. And so I'm one of the mentors, and then me and another insurance professional. So you remember Lawrence from?
Yeah, I know Lawrence. Yeah, Lawrence Roberts. Yes.
I didn't even realize it. So he and I are going to be talking about insurance specifically. So we're going to be giving a couple of talks about insurance to the vets. And I'll talk about commercial insurance. He'll get to talk about like life and health as well. So it's a great group of people, and I have so much freaking knowledge. I would just want it to put it to good use. It's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. You know, the big I would be happy to have you on instructing some courses as well. You might be the new teacher. Coming out, you know, you should give them who Debbie Little is over there now. I should give her a shout. Say hey.
Oh, the name sounds so familiar. I
She's
think
at
I met
VCU
her like a long time ago.
Yeah, she was over at VCU before, and we're having Central Virginia talk. This is going to be on the internet, and our listeners and viewers are really all over the planet. So I'm talking Central Virginia right now, just in case. VCU is Virginia Commonwealth University. Richmond, start of Virginia is in Virginia. The Metropolitan Business League is an association that supports small businesses throughout the state of Virginia. A great organization with great leadership. Shout out to Floyd Miller as well.
Great plug. Yes.
yes. So they're doing some wonderful things. Speaking of the mentorship, speaking of just kind of laying the foundation, setting the tone for those individuals. One, veterans. This is a great opportunity for veterans to look at as a career track. You mentioned yourself, being a millennial. You said it. I didn't say millennial. You said millennial. Really entering this career path, which is much needed. What advice would you give for someone who is maybe thinking or teetering about whether or not they want to pursue an insurance career or not?
I would find somebody that is in a position that you think you would want, whether it's now or even like maybe a leader in like a supervisor or something that at one point had the role that you want to start in. Yes. And just talk to them, because a claims role can be very different than like an insurance sales, but they sound very, similar to like when you're just reading that one page. I think just talk to people, and especially like for people that have been in insurance, they can usually get a pretty good read on somebody's personality and have a good recommendation of like, even if that one place you're interested in isn't a good fit, they probably have somebody else that like, hey, you should go talk to this person. You should go like see about this opportunity as well. Because again, everybody seems to know everybody. So go ask someone. Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about what you just said is when you start to meet people in the insurance industry, typically they're really open to introduce you to another person. Like, so you meet one person, that introduction is going to turn into 3 or 4 different people inside of the industry and outside of it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, that's a great piece of advice. So Katie Atkinson, New Oak Insurance, what's next for you? What's the end goal?
What's the end goal? The end goal is to keep writing insurance. And one day I would love to have one of those, like right now it's just me, but we have goals to hire a couple of part-time and a full-time employee in the near future. So just to keep growing that, I want to just keep being a helper in Virginia and beyond. But Lord, I'm a little, so I am very much so the like detail. Okay, this is what I want to do right now. My husband is the big ideas guy. So he'll have the 10-year plan. I have to like, this is what I want to do this year. So I'm just
okay. Nice. Well, there's some great risk management programs in the state that you probably can find some solid interns, VCU, ODU, have those programs as well. And since we're on the what's next, what are you laser focused on right now?
So right now it's just continuing to grow the book of business, just because I'm still within my first year. So I'm still in that hustle stage. It is so much fun. It is fun.
Which never really changes, right? It just keeps going, right?
It's true, but then you can have help later on. So right now,
right.
That's what we're working towards, and get big enough to get that help, basically. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I was speaking to a friend of mine earlier, and we were talking, who's also in this business, and we were talking about we always share different things that we've learned kind of throughout the years. And I remember one of my mentors told me a long time ago, well, when I was getting started, he said, this isn't a job. It's not even a career. It's a lifestyle. Would you agree?
That's actually really good advice, especially if you're going to do like a PNC where there's just a lot of like claim activity too. Like, very true.
Yeah. And definitely, what you do is you're dealing with people and interacting with them on a day-to-day to take care of their needs. So it really does. I mean, and you develop, I'm sure, friendships and close bonds, with those clients as well.
Oh yeah, I still have some of my like past clients that like if I see them in like the grocery store, I still like go up and give them hugs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like talk to them, for quite some time.
No, it's phenomenal. So as we get ready to kind of close out on the interview side, I want to make sure that folks can stay in contact with you if they want to catch up with you at a coffee house, or somewhere throughout the city. How do people stay in contact with Katie Atkinson and New Oak Insurance?
Well, they have several ways to do so. So my website is a great first place to start. So www.newoakinsurance, so NEWOAKINSURANCE.com.
We'll have it at the bottom of the screen as well. Okay.
Perfect. See, that's the perfect place to start. Well, and also if you're just looking at knowing more of the terms, I have a really cool interactive graphics that you can look at. I don't know if you played with that or not, but there's like for auto insurance, homeowners insurance, business insurance. So you can actually like scroll over and see like, and for the business, you can scroll over a computer and be like, what about data liability breach or like breach responses? And like, so it's a fun way to get familiar with coverage options.
See, that's the millennial side coming out, right? Because you got like a little game component,
It's my my highlights coming out, like what's the difference in these pictures? And then like,
oh, that's awesome.
Go.
Nice. And then, for those who are, on the social media, I know New Oak has Instagram.
So we have an Instagram, so New Oak Insurance. There's a Facebook page. I think we have a LinkedIn as well. I'm say Instagram and Facebook, I'm definitely more active on though. And then of course, you can always give me a call. So my phone number is 804-601-4066. And if you text it, I'll probably respond.
There you go. Hey, look, Katie, thank you, so much, for sharing, your story, your background, your experiences, your expertise, your knowledge, and your energy. This evening, you are so appreciated, and just keep servicing the community and the public with that incredible personality, demeanor that you have, and I know that the sky is absolutely going to be the limit as well.
Well, thank you so much, Rod. Really appreciate you having me here, and say nobody ever intends to get into insurance, so it's always great. But once you're here, you don't leave. It's a good place to be.
You're stuck. Once you join it, it's, what? I said I was going to be in the business 5 years. It's been almost 10 years. I said almost.
Nice. Yeah. What happens? Well, I think when we first met, I was like, so how'd you end up in insurance? Like,
yeah, I'm like, man, how did I get to this place? But no, I enjoy it so much. I love it. And I really enjoy also being able to connect with individuals like yourself. Mm-hmm. And, you guys make sure that you check out New Oak Insurance if you're in the Central Virginia area. And are there any other states that you cover, just so we get that?
Virginia right now, and then
Virginia.
Hopes to expand in the future, but right now we're sticking to Virginia. You guys start.
If you're in Virginia, or you know someone in Virginia, make sure that you send them over to Katie. She will certainly get you taken care of. Katie, thank you once again. And thank you all for listening. Maybe you heard something in this conversation that made you think you should get a license. Until the next time, thank you. Take care.